So I heard you bought a house.
Hey, Dana. I did buy a house, and it's always good when the house is on Google within 15 seconds. People's like, I've already seen your house. I never need to come over. I saw it online.
All humans know where all other humans live, you know, because we bought a place in the mountains. And the business manager that we both have said, oh, you don't, no reason to put it under a trust or try to hide a name. Everybody knows you're there. Isn't it creepy?
Yeah, mine was under his name, my big fake, you know, house. And then they just figured out. So he's like, we don't even need that anymore. So.
I don't know if I should say this, but my wife and I, you know, after you bought the house, but you haven't moved in, we actually camped out one night in your yard.
Oh, you went to my house?
Yeah, we knew where it was. Like everyone else, there was a lot of people there. And I go, get out of the way. I know the guy.
You know, it's funny that there was a transient in there that the real estate guy just mentioned one day. He goes, oh, there was a guy in there. I go, a guy in my house? He goes, yeah, it was had furniture in it. He was just sleeping in one of the beds. Told him to get lost.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like Three Little Bears or something.
That feels weird. Yeah, it was like Goldilocks.
People always worry about the homeless, but I always say, what are we going to do with the clueless?
Yeah.
No one has an answer for the second part.
Does Biden?
There's no funding. My Biden is now down to a sound.
Biden doesn't make sense.
Come on, let's get real. I'm not kidding around. No joke. No joke. That should be our alternate title for this. No joke.
It's no joke.
Not kidding around.
I'm not kidding around.
Uh-oh.
So Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Yeah. He's good to hang out with.
He was in, what are your favorite Tom Hanks movies?
Well, I just think he had a run like Redford did in the 70s. He starts out with you could put Big in there, kind of like Crazy Hit.
Jesus
Then
Christ.
Philadelphia Story, drops a couple LBs, gets the statue.
That's right,
comes back with Forrest Gump like 8 months later, like the Beatles dropping Magical Mystery Tour after the Pepper album. Then he comes back with Forrest Gump, another Oscar, not since Spencer Tracy. Then he comes back with Apollo 13, which I think is a perfect movie. It's like a left and a right. Then it's Saving Private Ryan. Hello, reinvented World War II, Spielberg genius. Then he loses 100 pounds, does Castaway. No one's ever done that. That's like a mic drop of show business.
The worst part is, I'm not going to say which three, but I turned down 3 of those. And now, and I see him and I go, I could have done that.
I heard you were the stunt body double after the weight loss on Castaway in the wide shot.
And they go, we don't want him skinny fat. And I go, oh, is that what I am?
Remember when you had to be Perot in the wide shot? I was playing 2 characters in a sketch on SNL, President Bush and Ross Perot. But in the wide shot, they used you as Ross Perot.
Do I remember or do I think about it?
I want to apologize right now for okaying that.
Yeah, the answer is I think about it all the time, and it makes me sick to my stomach that I had to get full hair and makeup, bald cap to go for a wide shot.
I know.
And then right when I didn't even, and the worst part, I didn't know it. And so when they went for me to talk, they go, hold. Thanks, David. Back to extras holding. Dana getting hair and makeup to play Perot.
Well, it's because you kind of look like my little brother. I mean, for a long time, I didn't even know your name, so I just called you Understudy. I remember that. Hey, Understudy, come over here. Because, yeah, you were like laying in wait. You actually put the dress on for Church Lane once, right? They fitted it.
You were like, why is the pizza delivery guy still here and trying to write on sketches? All right, let's get to Tom Hanks.
Yeah, Tom Hanks, please enjoy.
Remember, it wasn't that long ago to create content. You actually had to type a blog, you know? Now, this just removes all effort from it.
All effort.
Exactly. Welcome to my job.
Let me get this straight. The 3 of us don't sit around all day anyway and crack wise and, you know, this is what we do all day long. Talk about
Pretty
stuff,
much.
sort of.
Yeah.
Dodge issues.
That's when you're creative, when you're just hanging out, not trying to do anything. Then something
So
pops in your brain.
our why prepare when we can just make it up mentality is now providing us providing you guys with a healthy living.
People love behind the scenes more than ever.
Is that what we're doing behind the scenes? We having a talk about behind the scenes?
Well, kind of.
Because I got some lingering questions from Don't Shoot Me that I want to fire at.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick about that.
I worked with your former boss on that.
Who, Levitan?
The actor.
Oh,
the actor.
Siegel?
No. Who played the photographer with the beard? He was in I'm having a cranial plate shift here. He was in the Mr. Rogers movie, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Rico.
Yes.
How can you forget a name like Rico?
You did.
He was one of the most delightful human beings I'd ever come across. He's a sweetheart. He was a blast.
We thought he looked like Cookie Monster or something from Sesame Street. And,
how many years did you do that show for, Dave?
That's a great question. Dana in all his years has never asked me anything about me.
Well, I want to know what your back end was.
No, that's the real question.
I'm a numbers guy.
That was old TV, man. You could have come in third place on that night, and we'd have numbers now that would be heralded as,
I got canceled with 24 million viewers. The Mickey Rooney Show, 1981. We had 24 million on a Saturday night. They said, "Get your stupid show and get off the lot."
What numbers did they use to justify letting you go?
I don't know. Maybe it was Mickey's handgun that he had at the ready at all times. His .38 revolver.
No, I think that plays now.
They showed Dana's numbers on an abacus. They're like, each bead equals 1 million viewers.
God, Mickey Rooney, Dana, you worked with Mickey Rooney. You worked with Burt Lancaster. You worked with Kirk Douglas. Tell me you made out with Sophia Loren on some movie at some point.
Meg Ryan played my girlfriend on the Mickey Rooney Show for a few episodes before you got your claws on her in those mailman movies. I can't remember the names, but
the mailman movies.
Those mailman movies.
Here Comes Mailman. I think that was the name of both of the films.
Okay, I have a real question.
Go.
Yeah.
I do too.
You played a mailman.
You dodged my question, David. You dodged my question. How many seasons of Just Shoot Me did you do?
Oh, we did 6. And
6 seasons. That's huge.
148 high qual episodes. But what I did, Dana's real question is, after the first year, I was added on after the pilot, so I wasn't on the show. I watched it, and we'll get to you, Tom, in about 40 minutes. I was added, and then they wrote me in, and then we reshot the pilot. Anyway, after one season, they go, I try to sniff around for some more money.
Yeah.
And they go, hey, easy guy, we've had one lucky season. You're on against Friends and ER and like sort of a heyday of all these things.
And by the way, if you were a substitute teacher, you'd love the pay that they were giving you.
I was good, but then I thought it's not enough. Meanwhile, when I got it, I was ecstatic. So I was coming off about $600 a week on SNL. So I go, all right.
Overpaid.
And so I go, I want more. I demand. And they go, we would rather give you a piece of the show gambling. If you don't want more money right now, gambling that it won't go 5 years. We're betting against you. And I said, okay. And then later, a couple years later, I go, can I get some more money too? And they were like, good God.
My interest was actually the quality of the writing and the performance on the show, but you went right to the bitterness of your deal.
I was answering
you went right
Dana.
to the amount of money. Oh, you were answering Dana.
Tom, you and I are actors and we understand a different mindset.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Yes.
You're watching television, you with Rita, me with Paula. Do you ever find yourself seeing an old movie or TV show, you look up the guy's age or the woman's age, and then you look up their net worth? You ever done that, or is it just me?
I must say I've never done that.
Thank you, Tom. You're a decent person.
You've never looked up how old is Kelsey Grammer? How old?
We can make an estimation because we've been watching him since he had a couple of lines on every Cheers episode.
Right.
But that was a while back. So I know he's,
I'm going to put him around our area.
He's over 40 because that's how many years we've been watching him on TV.
All right. I have a real question for Tom.
I have a real question.
And I have a real question for Dana. So we'll just go around. We'll just go around and around.
I have a real question.
You played a mailman in You've Got Mailman.
Twice.
And you played a FedEx guy. Do you feel like you're typecast?
Yes, I do. I'm looking for that perfect DHL project. And I have an entire closet full of brown shorts, brown shirts, brown socks, and brown shoes. So when it comes time to play Mr. UPS,
right,
they come to me before they go to anyone.
I think an Amazon worker who wins the company lottery and goes on Blue Origin.
And goes up into space. How about that?
Everything ends with space.
Wow. Everything.
Which when I think of you, okay, here's a statement. You can respond any way you want. Because I see you as a quintessential baby boomer along with myself.
No, I was born in 1956, right.
55, beat you.
I just Googled
but
it.
Anyway, first of all, when I think of you, I think of World War II.
Yeah.
The Beatles, because of that thing you do, and outer space.
Yeah.
Basically. World War II, Band of Brothers. Incredible. So here's a question for you as a 50s, 60s kids. If you had a choice, would you rather have a Super Ball or silly putty?
Oh, man. Silly
Don't
putty.
answer. Right off
I'm right there on silly putty, and I'll tell you why. You roll up silly putty into a ball, and it is a Super Ball.
Whoa.
And yet, it bounced really high, and yet you could like stretch it out and put it on a newspaper, and then pull it off and see the comic right there on the newspaper.
Yeah.
You could shape it like buck teeth and put it in your mouth. You could tear it in half and put it behind your ears and make your ears stick out. Silly putty, which should have been called Super Putty,
Miracle Putty,
because it could do Miracle Putty.
It was developed at NASA, I believe.
And who did not lose a Super Bowl after about 2 days?
First one,
right?
Boing later,
boing up on the roof, boing into the down into the culvert, off into the wash.
Overrated or underrated baby boomer toy? Slinky.
Overrated.
Agree.
Yeah.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh, underrated.
Cool.
Oh,
underrated.
Dear.
Yeah.
Underrated. That was the gold standard.
You could never live up to the commercial on most toys I got, like Evil Knievel with the zip SSP. What do they call? And it would go forward.
Supersonic power.
You'd pull the string in it, or and it would haul ass. It's hard to make it jump the Snake River, but it was cool. That was.
You could get over a pile of books, with the right kind of like ramp. You had one of those? That was honestly, I became maybe because I'm older and wiser, I became a very discerning connoisseur of toy commercials that I knew were lies.
Yeah.
It's not that great.
It took me too long.
Hasbro were always lying.
Okay, here, and I know, and I'm going to tell you why, because I could tell that on a Slinky commercial when it walked the stairs without a care, those were not real stairs. The treads on those stairs were only like 4 inches wide. So you take them home and say, "Oh, I'm going to make this walk down the stairs from upstairs down in the living room."
Like a fool.
Well, those treads are 11 inches wide.
Damn.
It would go down one, but then it would stop because it couldn't get over there and come all the way down.
I'm adding Sherlock Holmes to the World War II Beetle outer space guy. I'm adding Sherlock Holmes to you.
And as soon as you got that improper knot in the middle of the Slinky, where
it was
twisted
over.
the wrong way, it never came back.
It was over. Let me give another baby boomer quick conversational piece, because the formative years, David's a little younger than us, but kind of from four.
Does he look it?
You fucking assholes.
So. Don't even. The years of abuse, my friend.
I blame the ring light.
You got to face the window. I spent a half hour on this.
I have ring light poisoning.
Even though this isn't going anywhere, only Tom will see
You
it.
fair-haired boys don't age well, man. You just don't.
We don't. My ancestors were in the caves in Scotland and Scandinavia and Ireland. My skin was not prepared for growing up in California. But this mic really works for me because the neck just left me a while back. The neck went nuts.
I know. That's why you see a lot of guys wearing ascots, and kerchiefs around them.
Yeah, like Nora Ephron, the great Nora Ephron.
Yeah, no,
I hate my neck.
That's
yeah. Okay. These are just fun for me to think about and think of which ones you would like.
All right.
Movies and all. You can add TV shows too in your formative years that stuck with you. I got to put Wizard of Oz because I saw it when I was 3 or 4. Scared the shit out.
Oh, yeah. The Flying Monkeys, man.
Scared the fuck
and
out.
The Witch.
Why is that a kid's movie? It's so scary.
It is so scary.
Luckily, there was no Twitter back then.
They would have colorized the early black and white portion of the movie because the network would have been afraid that, hey, it's in black and white. People will turn it off, and they would have colorized the first part. That's what they're thinking would have been.
All right. So in 59 or 60, I don't know when these movies went on TV. I assume fairly quick after their theatrical release. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Didn't see it for years.
Didn't see it for years. All right. Pass. Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh, huge.
All right. We got a winner. I know.
If you look at that pound for pound, moment by moment, and you can talk about who was the guy that did the animation, world famous. His name will come up.
Ray Harryhausen.
Ray Harryhausen's stop animation. Between the Valley of the Titans with those huge statues that come to life, and the battle against the skeleton army. If you take that and just say, okay, never mind how cheesy it looks, and blah blah blah. It is pound for pound the most action-packed science fiction fantasy movie ever.
Oh yeah,
bar none.
It's unreal.
The stop motion still holds up and still has a creepy quality to it. The giant man where they took the Achilles heel and all the
and all the sand came out, or that the maidenhead figure that was the goddess Hera or whatever
whispering,
it is.
yes,
she would open.
Jason,
you must go to the that was great. Oh, and how about the harpies that they capture on the net by
with the blind guy?
Oh man!
And the gods playing games. So I showed that.
That was a biggie.
And I show that to my sons, at an appropriate age where it blew their minds. 6, 7.
I think
8.
Also you'll say, so you and I are watching this. Jason and the Argonauts would have been on TV. It would have been on something like the CBS Sunday night movie, the NBC Saturday night movie. And because it had those commercials in it, we could pause our excitement just long enough to, one, develop essentially all the ADHD that we now carry with us.
Right.
Because our attention span needed a commercial break every 12 minutes or so.
Yes.
But it ended up elongating the night. So, an hour and a half movie would really be stretched out into 2 hours. And that was a full night of rock'em sock'em entertainment.
And it's not, and it's great to have the commercials. I like the commercials.
And, so not long. I'm going to say 66 maybe. Mm-hmm. The ABC Sunday night movie first started showing James Bond movies, and that was like,
I have Goldfinger on here as
are you crazy?
Seminal.
That was insane. It was so great. But Bridge Over the River Kwai. Over the River Kwai is shown in 2 parts on Sunday night and on Monday night. On Monday, every guy at school is walking around whistling the Colonel Bogey March.
Can you do it?
Dude, I can't. Yeah. So we're doing that, and we are. Well, no, it's actually a very famous musical march. But here's the thing: that David Leeds shot that thing in the widest screen possible, but we watched it in essentially 350 lines of bad video scan.
Analog,
and with a feature called pan and scan. So that a scene that on the screen would have 3 people in it talking in the jungle, pan and scan would be on William Holden and then slowly automatically move over to some other guy. But you could not have convinced me, based on 2 nights with commercials and pan and scan, that Bridge Over the River Kwai was not the greatest motion picture ever made for a couple of weeks until I saw something else.
Oh yeah. So I knew I'd floor you with these. I knew.
You have an SNL question?
David, do I have an SNL question? Well, I had one.
Well, you guys did the comedians. Were you in that one together where you played comedians?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, Smigel wrote that. That was one of the first things Smigel got on the air.
The stand-up guys. I would just say, when Tom came to SNL, he was, I just made notes.
No shit.
He was the most like a cast member to me. Like, he felt like a cast member.
That's cool. The first time I did it, I was wickedly excited. The second time I did it, I wasn't very good at all. But the third time I did it, which is when you were on, by that time I knew what not to do and how to save your energy and how to participate.
Oh yeah, it's an incredibly difficult thing to host. Much easier to be.
Yeah.
So Smigel, Robert Smigel of the comic,
talk to him all the time. Genius.
Absolute genius. He came and said, "Listen, I wrote this thing about comedians who always say, I mean, come on. I mean, hey, they're
why do they do this?
Why would they do that? And he wrote in a joke that was like, hey, what's the deal with socks? And Dennis Miller, the comedian par excellence, says, hey, man, that's Jerry Seinfeld's material. You can't take that from him. He was adamant. He says, you cannot take a comics, great bit and blow it out on TV. He'll never be able to use it again. And Smigel said, it's old, man. He won't miss it. He said, no, man, you can't do this. So we called Jerry Seinfeld
to find out.
And I never met him, but we're in the famous people's club. Hey, you're famous, I'm famous, so we can talk to each other like we know each other. It's all a lie.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, listen, I'm on SNL. We're doing this thing about comedians. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with the socks? But if you're still doing the sock bit, we'll come up with some other joke.
So rude way to put it.
I said, I really appreciate the call. Quite frankly, that's been retired from my act. If you guys want to do it, you can go ahead and do it.
I don't care.
Very gracious. Hey, what's the deal with a date on milk? It was that guy. Hey.
And then later when Jerry came, when he was hosting, we did some kind of game show with him where we did jokes.
Called Hey.
And I had a joke that actually worked. It was like Gilligan's Island. What's up with Gilligan's Island? If the professor can make a radio out of a coconut, why can't he fix a hole in the damn
fucking
boat?
True.
So it was actually a good joke.
That's a good joke.
What is the deal? I don't know where I'm going.
It was brilliant. And I do believe it was one of the first things Smigel got on the air. You can ask him yourself.
I remember, and I was doing this, somehow this came up with someone the other day. We were playing, you guys, Smigel wrote it probably, but you were playing a guy who worked at an electronics store from the Middle East.
Yes.
And the idea that inside these gadgets, they were like kick-a-day generic gadgets, but inside they had Sony Electronics.
Sony Guts.
Sony Guts.
Which was something I was told at an electronics store owned by Middle Eastern guys who were trying, who really wanted to take cash, not a credit card.
It sounded like something
and
real.
What he was telling me was, he says, no, you don't understand. All of the electronics come from one single place, and everybody makes their electronics from this place. So this is actually Sony Guts. He
said it 300 times in that sketch.
Was it Sabra?
He's got Sony Guts.
It was Sabra Shop. Yeah.
He's got Sony Guts. He's got Sony Guts. He's got Sony Guts.
No. Look. That's what he said. No. Look. And what I loved is Michael did it so that it looked huge on the screen. Like it looked like it was a really big piece of electronics, but when his finger came into the frame to push the button, you realized it was the size of a wallet. It was a very, very funny bit.
Oh, Smile. But you also, go ahead, David.
Oh, I was going to say.
I want to talk about when we were the naked sketch, the penis sketch. But
yeah.
I'll do a quickie of when on my end, when I was just writer, performer, and Tom came in, one thing was funny was that Tom let me write a sketch with him, which was, didn't make it to fucking air, Subway surfing. But
oh God, yeah.
But it was a good idea that I got to write with the host. And I think in the middle of dress, we were giving it everything and we were looking at each other going, it's not happening. Like it's the worst feeling. You're like, fuck, goddamn. Because it just
did it have a theme song or
it was a full song.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a full song. It was like we were ruffians who we were essentially a surf gang that rode the subways and said, what was it? Some of the lines were don't be afraid of a youth gang turf war, just stand up and balance and make it a surf war. You don't need a wetsuit aboard or an ocean. The transit authority provides you the motion.
Holy shit.
And then we had the bridge was I-N-T, ooh, B-M-T, bow, 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 I-R-T, wow, 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 way, subway shuttle, blah, 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 blah. And here's the thing, Lauren hated it. He just said, I don't get it. Do you live in the subway? Why? I don't.
He put the whammy on it because we gave it fucking everything. And sometimes when you do a sketch, if you just get off, I don't even know if it was that one, but sometimes you get off on the wrong foot. If you just had 2 takes, it would be great. You just start and you go, can I start again? But instead you're in it and you're like, God damn it, it's going.
Not happening.
And if the audience doesn't know where you're going, you miss that. You just
didn't work.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay, so we're in a pitch meeting, Dana.
All right.
And you know the Monday meeting where we all cram in Lauren's office.
Incredibly fun.
And
can I just say from the host perspective?
Yeah.
It is the most exciting gig in show business. It's less than a week.
Yeah.
You show up on Monday, you're exhausted, and yet you're spent by the end of the show on Sunday night, Saturday, except Sunday morning. Yeah. But you do wish you could do it again. You do wish you could just come right back on.
Right, because now you get it. Now you're like, I got it.
I would say as a cast member and sometimes host, experientially, first of all, you're in New York City.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're in Rockefeller Center. Mm-hmm. There can be animals on the show. It's a 3-ring circus. Everything's going live. You're never ready. So it's just, and then there's the crazy party. I've never stayed up that late in my life. The last time I was out there doing a guest
burn
spot,
that energy off.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to go to the end. I'm not going to bail out at 4 a.m. I'm going to stay. I was at Lauren's table, and I'm going to see what this guy can do. So he's going on. He's saying all this brilliant stuff. You know, we see what you think of this one. Oh, we were raised in the wilderness, and then we got civilized. Our kids are raised civilized, and we expect them to go out into the wilderness. So stuff like that for hours is kind of brilliant, right? Finally, the lights come up.
I love
the lights come up at 6 a.m. Well, I guess we should be going now. But yeah, it goes 6 a.m.
Let's go to 88.
Amazing.
What about, okay, so we're doing this pitch meeting, and Tom might have been the Bruce Springsteen Tom one, maybe. You did one with Bruce?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I did. Those people alone are a reason to mark, the hang that you
Oh
get
my
on.
God. I mean, and we're excited because we just finished with Alec Baldwin or something, and then it's like, you just wake up hungover, you're doing an laundry, like Tom Hanks this week. So you go in, and I think this is with you, maybe it wasn't, but we go in that meeting, and by now Tom is caught on by his 8th hosting, is that some of the ideas are bullshit. So because everyone's just getting their bearings. And so
you got to have an idea.
Yeah, you got to have an idea. And Lauren is like, David, Dana.
There's some water treading at that Monday meeting.
Yeah, because everyone just finished.
I have an idea about a guy who,
you want to surprise him at read through, so you don't want to blow your wad at the thing. It's funny. You want to surprise him.
There's a guy with a catchphrase.
Yeah, it's all a game of like psychologically tricking the other writers and making sure, because by the time the show's there, like Tom said, it goes so fast that you're like getting your UPS costume ripped off on Velcro, and they're putting a new one on. They're like, and the writer runs with you out and goes, by the way, you're not Russian, you're Polish now, and the middle's different. And you're like, what? 3, 2, and you're like, hello.
And yet, there it is.
Yeah, and it's funny. So we're in a meeting, and they go, what's your ideas? And I see Farley sitting on the ground, pulling on the carpet and pulling on his hair, and he's just so fucking nervous, and he never has any ideas. And Lauren sometimes skips him out of just mercy. And then Schneider or someone's giving a fake idea. Tom, you're a caveman afraid of caves. And Tom's like, okay. And then it all sounds like an idea. And then he goes, Chris? And then Chris goes, then he goes, pull hair. And he goes, then he goes,
his fingers are snapping with each other.
He's touching everything. And he goes, hey, Tom Hanks. And then I'm next to him going, are we saying his whole name, Tom Hanks?
Why not?
Out of nerves,
hey,
he goes,
Tom Hanks.
And then he goes like this. I was thinking maybe, this is the real one, and I thought it was for you. He goes, that movie, Marty? And Lauren goes, with Ernest Borgnine. And Chris goes, yeah, something about that. And then everything's dead silent, and Lauren goes, this is the week. Everyone's going to be looking for that Marty sketch.
For Marty.
And then I go, are you out of your fucking mind? He goes, shut the fuck up. And I see it written like with a crayon, Marty. I'm like, and he goes, I saw it the other night. I go, what does that have to do with Tom Hanks? He goes, shut up. You don't know fucking anything, dude. And then we leave and I go, hey, I don't know if are you going to go write up Marty? And then the rest of the week, everyone's like, what's the status of Marty? Is Tom going to gain weight for it?
Brutal atmosphere.
So funny.
Nothing like it anywhere else in show business. This is the other thing. There is no gig. There is no hosting thing. There is no cameo that you do that is like being on Saturday Night Live. And I think that's still, that's the reason why people still come out and say, I can't believe it. Here I am on stage on Saturday Night Live. And the audience always whoops.
That's the beginning of the roller coaster, the monologue. You're like,
do you guys think that it was unintentionally a bit of a reality show because you're putting Michael Jordan on a live sketch show and I'm behind the slat with Michael Jordan. I can see he's a little tense. So I'm going, Michael, just if you have to, just look at the cards. Yeah. Or you're with Sting. We're going to go into the scene and he looks at me and goes, how's my hair? How is it? So there's these, the high wire act of Wayne Gretzky or Joe Montana.
I love the one where he was essentially a hockey player in Hawaii.
Yes, and he's so good.
And he flipped a burger off a grill, and Phil Hart said, "How did you do that?"
And then he sang a song, didn't he? I mean,
yes, he did.
He was surprisingly charismatic.
Oddly, a lot of times the stuff is not hilariously funny when it's on. Yeah. It's still worthy of repeat viewings and examinations. Because there was one where Will was Janet Reno. And, he was in a dress and he had that little bit of lip gloss and, he was threatening everybody and punching everybody. And then you guys got the actual Janet Reno, the Attorney General of the United States of America, to bust through a fake brick wall and yell, it's clobbering time. Do you remember? Janet Reno Buster says, it's clobbering time. I said, how did they pull that off? That's a brilliant
That is part of the fun, that you don't know who's coming, who might come. And there's really almost no one too big to just do a cameo or something. Just to pop in.
Everybody. Okay, so here's a question for the two of you guys. You're on the show for a long time. And you guys kind of like became
7 years. You
became David Spade, and you had the Hollywood Minute that was immediate. I don't know if that was your immediate every time you were on you got a nickel. And then Dana, you started with the church lady. I don't want to. Okay, so how long you were on? 7 years, Dana. David, how many years
6.
you were on? All right, what is the day like after or have been told that you're not on SNL anymore? This is a great paradox of show business that I'm fascinated with, because you can talk about the highlights. It can all be, this is your life. And then Dana, you played drums for Wayne World, but that's the yin. The yang is your aces. You're at the top of your game. You have established yourself. You've taken the beachhead. You've landed on the moon. You've done all those things that you never quite believed would actually happen, and yet you had faith in yourself to make it happen, and then it did. And 12 hours ago or 24 hours ago, you knew you were going to be on SNL. And at noon on a day, that, okay, I'm now going to move on to the next chapter of being funny and what I do for a living. How long does that last, and how do you get through it?
Well, I can only say for myself, like when I got on, the idea would people were going to leave and be movie stars. I mean, I think Eddie Murphy did 3 years. Other people did 4. When I left at 7, John Lovitz left after 5, and Dennis. I stayed till 7, and it was sort of all the forces at play. I got almost too big because of Bush, Wayne's World, and Perot. So there was so much coming at me, but I feel like I really was just catching my stride. I mean, I think it was
at year 7.
Yeah, 6 and 7. I think at least 80 shows just to get used to tape and everything. Yeah. Having fun with very little fear. And that's when I was doing Carson, which was the only sketch I had on there where I wasn't cognizant of it. Is it getting laughs? Because internally it just felt so funny and real to me.
Oh, and those you watched on slow motion and watched every inch, because no one in the history of show business had nailed Carson. No one had been able to do him. No one had imitated him on TV. Not Rich Little, nobody.
And the combo with Phil was perfect.
Yeah.
The weird, wild stuff. I did not know that.
Skewed.
I'll throw one thing in for you right now, Tom. You probably have stuff you do just for Friends. Not really a bit. So for Friends, I don't know why, Johnny Carson getting pulled over on the PCH in 1972, okay?
Yeah, by the Highway Patrol.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, officer. I didn't know I was swerving. I had 2 slippery monkeys at the hook and hook.
So stupid.
So it's the cocktail and the establishment.
Sure.
Go on YouTube and see one of his Karnak the Magnificent bits.
Fucking love Karnak.
No.
He opens an envelope to his forehead and he says, "Sis boom ba."
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and
I know
and
that's
says
one. Yeah.
"Sis boom ba." And he opens it, blows on it, pulls it out.
Yeah.
He says, "What does your sheep say just before it explodes?"
Oh my God.
I saw that with friends over the holidays, and I swear to God, we laughed for 17 minutes uncontrollably.
What's the sis?
Boom ba.
Sis boom ba. Ba.
Johnny Carson was untouchable. I did Peter Jennings moderating
Yes.
one of the presidential debates before you nailed that not got that. You just
did
had
not have
glasses
Bush.
and a wig on. It said "Stay the course."
That was it. And you
1,000
were
points of
Jennings.
light.
It
1,000 points of light. Stay the
took
course.
me a year to make that character funny. Took me a year.
Well, because they're
to really
so
get it.
basic, you got to find a hook.
I come on it a year later, and I haven't done the show. And by that time, you're doing it. And I saw the script page. I wasn't in the sketch. I saw the script pages for you as Bush, and I honestly said, "This is written in gibberish. I don't know what it said."
It said naga
It
ba
just said
ba.
na
Da, da, yeah.
and
Na,
then
ga,
it's a
da,
na da
da, da, da.
dot. What does this mean? I don't.
Funny.
I got to do it. The thing about that sketch is that I was in a lockdown shot. So, and it was the cold opening.
Home
so It was
base.
the only time I could extend rhythms. I could improvise a bit, take things further. And many a time I thought, okay, I'm in trouble when it was over.
Because they go, it went 19 minutes.
That and and what was the guy, the McLaughlin group when you
Where's your
did
number
that.
one?
Issue
Yeah.
number one.
Morton, teeny tiny tabletop. Eleanor, I think it's Swellenor.
Oh, I like
This stuff,
Don't
I'm literally talking about something I saw once, and then
Wrong.
I could
Special K with banana.
What did you have for breakfast? I had special K's
With
and
banana.
sliced banana.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
I had the show taped, so I saw one of the compilations reruns, and there was some sketch that was in a restaurant, and everybody was saying, you like the taste? You want to taste the sauce?
Yeah.
Oh, you like
like
the
it in
sauce?
juice.
Yeah.
And did you like it in juice? And I just came in the tail end, and David Spade came on looking like he was 13 years old and saying, is there any way you guys could end this sketch? Oh, you'd like us to end this sketch?
You like it if there was no more
But
catchphrase.
you looked like a Mormon missionary who was knocking on the door collecting for
I saw that,
the
and I was
paperboy that
shocked that they let me do that at the end of a sketch because we never really did that fourth wall shit, but it was a good way to get out of that. It's great.
Yeah,
You like it?
that was always the trouble ending those sketches.
Yeah, you get into
How do
them
we
and you
how do
gotta
we
get out of them. What
We had some
about?
good waiter sketches. Yes.
Oh, I like the horny waiter.
I like presentational stuff, and I think one of the early ones that Tom was in that has resonated, people are aware of it. So the song is Mr. Short-Term Memory.
Mr. Short-Term,
Short-Term Memory.
Michael. Yeah, that was
So the premise is completely up front. Everyone knows what's going on.
song.
And then that was one where I just thought maybe you were kind of the perfect cast, like to play that guy.
All right. So here's what I remember.
Yeah.
A perfect sketch, provided you did it with alacrity and didn't put a bump in it.
Yeah.
The dress rehearsal performance of it was so perfect that it did not live up to the actual air show.
I hate that.
And that when we come off, I think somebody did an imitation of, don't worry, it'll be perfect in the rerun. You know, meaning that they take the dress rehearsal and slide the dress rehearsal thing.
That's nice. As I got more used to doing SNL, sometimes I would peak at read through. Like I was going all out, and I never got back to it. In that last year, I was pacing myself the whole time, and really, even the dress show, make sure you're not doing it the best at the.
That happens on movie. That happens on movie read throughs. So I said, let's not do read throughs anymore, guys, because they're fake. They happen on Bosom Buddies. They're just killed at the table.
Yeah.
Never.
When you get out there, it's not quite exact. Sometimes I remember at Michael J. Fox show, I was doing Michael J. Fox to him, and he started laughing, and it made the sketch so crazy fun. And then we did on air, and he didn't, and you just lost something. I'm like, I went and begged Shoemaker. I go, put the fucking rerun on, will you? Put it in the goddamn dress, and it's a tough one to get dressed.
So you got like you said earlier, Dana. You go to this incredible place, 30 Rock, and you're up on 17 for all the writing,
the whole thing,
and then the big thing happens, and the whole show transfers down to historic 8H. Where Toscanini had his own elevator, and they did the Colgate comedy. I don't know, one of the most famous.
Jerry Lewis would cut the tie off,
and then you're not playing Major League Ball. The season, at the 8th year after the show, I have moments, not every movie, but I have moments when the shoot comes to an end, and I got to go through a physiological process of grieving, because we'll never come back to this place anymore. Like if you do a play on Broadway, man, that thing is gone in the wink of an eye, and you've been there for 6 months.
All that work.
And your whole experience was about pacing yourself in order to peak at the right time, and if it happened, it was by magic, and if it wasn't, you were frustrated by it.
I've had cast members, Fred Armisen, call me or email me about this very thing. Mm-hmm. What do I do? When can I watch the show again and not think they're doing my show? And sometimes doing it maybe better than I did.
I have trouble watching it when I'm flush with memories of being hosting. There's sometimes it just, man.
First of all,
there's nothing like being alive. Like, put me in, coach. I can play center field. Then put me in.
Tom, is there an eclipse in your house?
No, the sun is moving around.
You're like, the problem with mansions is we have so many windows. But Tom, what about
I'm in the smallest little cubby hole in mine. Here in the
I'd like to be a termite in
the Temple of Dender, the Fortress of Solitude.
I wish I'd stayed a few years longer, but in those days,
but you can't. I mean, there is this, it's like, Stan Musial, Sandy Koufax walked away from the game. I don't want to keep using sports analogies, but I love them. At some point, you got to go. I could do it, but there's an aspect of it here that isn't going to be good for the
Tom. When I left, and Dana, you can listen. When I left,
thank you.
You can hear what I tell Tom. That it was starting with writing on yellow pads. We didn't have computers or anything, and learning how to write a sketch and going through that whole process of getting to where I could kind of write a sketch pretty well. I was never like a super SNL guy, but at least I got to the end where I kind of had my moments. And then when I left, the hard part was almost anything I did, first of all, was never as hard. And it was hard to find people that were as good per capita as everyone around me, because I had the writing of Jack Handy and Downey and Smigel and Conan and Bob Odenkirk and Greg Daniels. And then I got these guys. We came in, forget, me and Rock and Farley and Sandler and Timmy, but we've got Dennis and Dana there and Lovett, and they're fucking great. Phil and Jan.
Mike Myers.
Mike Myers.
It's every season is some form of a murderer's row that you cannot create that atmosphere. When you come close, that's about the highest thing I could say. I felt that way about doing Broadway on Lucky Guy. We had 14 people in the cast, and I just said, this is as good a hang as SNL. This is the same kind of like group of people who are both merciless and filled with nothing but a brand of love and respect.
You kind of know it too, because you go, if I can even, because at first at read through, I was like, I just can't have my sketch be so shitty that everyone goes, what the fuck? I just want to blend in. I don't even want to get on. I just want them not to go, Jesus Christ. Hey, stand up. Who was this? Because I was new, and I my first sketch had 18 sets. No one even tells you. I'm just like,
don't do that.
And then they go, whose sketch is 27 pages? I'm like,
for the audition process, did you have to go and like hang out for like that afternoon with everybody in order to see if you could handle kind of like the environment?
Dana lived with
when you
Lauren
were still auditioning for it.
I auditioned in LA. I'd auditioned twice before. I followed Kennison at the Comedy Store and bombed for SNL Lieutenants. And then it came around again in 86. I thought, I'll give it a shot. But I played a little club on the West Side that Rosie O'Donnell was headlining. And then I'm going on. I knew Lorne was going to come see me. Never met him before. And then in comes Brandon Tartikoff, the head of the network.
Ooh,
and
tartar sauce.
Cher of Sonny and Cher.
Get out.
So they sat down and then they go, now Dana Flarfo. So that was kind of
now ding dang bong.
All right. So you're talking about critics. Here's my question for you, Dana Carvey.
Sure.
I can't remember when you told me this story. But we were comparing notes on San Francisco, and I had not lived there for a long time, but it really did become this kind of like hotbed of a type of stand-up comedy. Because what was the main venue there? Was it the Boarding House? Was that what it was called?
Well, early it was the Boarding House, and then the Punchline was the first comedy club that came in, and then we had the Intersection. Depends what era, but in the 70s, when I was at San Francisco State, it was mostly the Holy City Zoo on Tuesday nights. Holy City Zoo,
okay, yeah.
There was a few of them,
Okay, so, but now you are Dana Carvey, and you're playing the main room, whatever that thing was, the main, maybe it'd been the Golden Gate Theater, or the Kern, or something like that.
Yeah, the Great American Music Hall.
Great American, might have been that. And here's what you said. I said, oh, are you still gonna, you'll go back and do that often in San Francisco? And I said, I used to, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And I said, oh, why? And you told me this story. You performed in front of an absolute huge sellout crowd.
Yes.
You killed. You left to like 17 standing ovations screaming more. They wouldn't let you off the stage. You said I could not have had a better reaction from an audience at a stand-up comedy. It's one of the best shows I've ever done. And I feel that deep inside my soul.
Right.
And the critic the next day wrote, Dana Carvey rehashes old material in pedestrian
bombs or whatever. Yeah, it was
whatever.
Horrible. Yeah, Gerald Nachman.
Okay, I didn't want of the San Francisco Chronicle, I'm guessing, right? And there you have it. There you have this other thing that goes into it. There was undeniably a huge, fabulous show that you just put on, and someone said,
I didn't know until recently that I was really always a sketch player, not a pure stand-up. And so it's a delicate environment for me. And when I play small clubs around LA sometimes, it's a different sport. And I was in a big room, and the more famous I got on Saturday Night Live over time, that was the first year, my stand-up got shittier and shittier.
Yeah, I get that.
Because I would, and then I was getting...
Could you come out and say, wow, and everybody screams? Because it sounds like he's going to do the church lady.
I remember the first time I could do a college for a lot of money. It was like a year's salary from before SNL. But I hadn't done stand-up in 6 months, and you're looking at your notes, and you're getting so much money... But as your act is getting worse and worse, it's like they just cross over.
Well, remember that day of Shakespeare that we did? It's like you come in, we read it through, we stage it, and we perform it that night.
Jackson
my God.
Brown, Julia Roberts.
You were a man on fire. We did 12th Night or something like that.
I was with you out there. Who else?
You were, but no, it was like these moments where it was like, well, this is a fun thing. But wait a minute. Here's Elvis Presley entertaining us somehow. You just drove every scene of yours so deep. I think I might have ad-libbed something like, you should work more often or something like that.
I just remember you. But it's a fun premise, this idea we're doing Shakespeare, but we can also take these flights of fancy, change our voice.
Yeah, so it's not going to be work. You don't want people to sit there for an evening.
No, it's still, if you're still doing that, I'm around.
So David, you're done with SNL, and I remember you sort of like automatically being part of the zeitgeist, automatically showing up and working and being in things.
Well, Tommy Boy, right off the heels of SNL.
Oh, the Skinny and Fatty movie, sure, yeah.
Tommy Boy was a couple years in, and then written. Lauren said to some writers, "Write the way these two are around the office." Spade's always poking him and making fun of him, and he's falling down and performing for him.
Oh, it really worked.
And that was exactly what the movie was, because I don't think we could pitch a movie saying two guys in Ohio sell brake pads. I mean, it's really the dumbest movie in the world.
That is the secret of any pitch. Never tell them what it's about.
Yeah, because people go, "What was that about?" So I think you were getting to the thing where I finished, and what was I doing next? And that was very hard because you don't know. And it was time late. I left a year late. I left after Adam and Chris, and Chris Rock was already gone. And Will Ferrell came in, who was perfectly pleasant, and he was fucking great. And I'm like, I feel like now I'm college and there are high school guys coming in. I got to go to college. And I
got that.
I didn't really want to leave, but I didn't really fit in. And I thought Dana fit in more because we were all like buds. And I kind of just left. And then they said it was sort of, you could probably do your own show after SNL because they will give you one shot.
You'll get a shot.
You'll get a shot.
You'll get a
but
single
you
shot.
Don't even realize if that shot doesn't work, it's almost over. Like, if you prove to them it doesn't work when you do your own show, then everyone scatters. You don't really think that yet. But I know after SNL, a lot of people go away. And so they go, do you want to be the fifth lead on this other show? But people like it, and NBC likes it, and Brandon Tartarsauce likes it. And so they go, if that works, I'm already 90% there because they already like it. There's a good writer from Larry Sanders and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
and you had a persona. You developed a persona.
And if I did my own show, I'd have to hire a Spade guy to run in and do jokes and leave. And it just was a good fit.
Yeah.
The safety of a quality ensemble. But you mentioned Chris Rock. This was a guy that, I mean, he just remained Chris Rock and ended up changing the art form in so many ways.
Yeah.
Without getting that kind of, here's the Chris Rock show, here's the thing, here's the movies. He just kept, being that kind of like poet laureate of stand-up. But I remember him as Nat X, the talk show host. The week that Andrew Dice Clay was on the show.
Yeah.
He says, Andrew Dice Clay, I got it. What does he say? I got a limerick for you. There once was a dude named Dice who looked like Don Johnson on steroids. Blah, 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 blah. My big black foot in your ass.
Yeah. When Rock left, he went to the back door of a stand-up special to come back, and he came back huge. We talked to him the other day, and
stand-up is, well, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we just saying he was at the lowest part. He left SNL not feeling good about it, and then he went to In Living Color, and then they got canceled. And he was like, I was nowhere. And he goes,
hard to imagine In Living Color getting canceled, but I guess.
Yeah, he said when he went on, Damon Keenan wasn't there, and it was just a ragtag crew. And so it had its greatness, and everyone just kind of jumped ship. So
did you see his documentary about hair?
No, I heard it was
because
great.
He's got daughters and stuff. Like, guys, it's mind bending. It's literally a window, a portal into a world that we don't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah, his resume, because we interviewed him, and is massive. What he's accomplished and the chances he's taken and the specials he's done. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. There's only one other resume that I read that made me had to take a nap, and that was yours.
That's just because I'm
look at these Tom Hanks movies.
Been around, man. I just
You're
been
like,
around
but wait, there's more.
That's what it should say.
My wife and I watch Bridge of Spies. That's in our rotation.
Oh my Lord, that's
that's like a perfect movie.
I'm in the thing now. I'm able just to say now, that'd be a blast. Let me do that. I'm lucky in that way. And that was one of them. It was just played into every one of, look, I read that stuff for pleasure anyway, that type of history.
Yeah.
And I got to go back to Berlin. What was great about that movie is, we're talking, the whole thing is about the Bridge of Spies, which was this very specific bridge that in the day had a white line down the middle of it that said communist on this side, free world on this side.
Yeah.
And that's where we shot it. I mean, we were literally right there where all this stuff went down. You can do that somewhere. Yeah. That was crazy great.
Crazy great. Greyhound, sorry, because it's so recent. Loved it.
Oh, Greyhound. See?
You must hear from people who just love. We don't get old-fashioned World War II movies enough.
Well, the thing I've heard that has been really very, very, very rewarding for both me and Aaron Schneider, who directed it, is we hear a lot from Navy guys.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Who all say no one bothers with the particulars of the Navy.
The North Atlantic.
But you guys did. Says that's the Navy, right?
And you captured the rudimentary technology, and you as the captain trying to decide, do we go left or right? The tension of that and the cold.
we had this problem when we started shooting it. We shot it in Baton Rouge. And it's like some form of, studio or whatever says, listen, what is the dog watch again? And what is mid watch? Well, that's the name of the replacing shifts, because everybody comes and stands their watch for 4 hours. He said, do we really need 4 watches? Can't we just have the same guys there all the time? And I said, well, you can, but then look what we lose. We lose the sense that Krause has been on the bridge that entire time. And then we only have the same faces over, and we don't have a sense of the passing of the days. He said, yeah, it's just really expensive to hire all those actors.
That's what it boiled down to.
Who's that guy? That's just AD guy. Hey,
I don't think people realize
production unit manager.
How hard it is to get a movie right, beginning, middle, end. You can read it, it's good. And then in the editing or in the casting or in some way it falls apart. And I think, like, even myself, I probably have only 30 movies that are great, top to bottom. And I think
I got 4. I'll say I got 4.
So I have 26 more.
I think 4 are pretty good. 4 are pretty good.
4? I can think of 4.
Yeah,
that's just
40.
From the early 90s.
That is always
Bachelor
something in there.
Party.
Think, look at that. Oh my.
Fucking Bachelor Party. Don't sleep on that.
Guys, I am driving with my wife. We've been married for a year, and we're in a car, and we're driving through the wilds of France and Italy. We stop at an autoroute place to eat. The autostrada. The main highways in Italy, and it's like a Howard Johnson's. It's like this big place, except the cafeteria. It's the greatest Italian food you'll ever have, because in Italy they cannot serve bad food. They don't live that way. So we're having this fabulous feast of self-serve Italian delicacies, and there was a big bus outside that was, believe it or not, the Puerto Rican national baseball team that was going around playing exhibitions of American baseball by way of Puerto Rican players in Italy. And we're sitting there eating. I'm putting oil and vinegar, and one of the guys just, bachelor party.
Fuck yeah.
And this is like 7 years after bachelor party. And they said, we were just watching it in the bus.
Yeah,
so
right.
They're driving around Italy playing baseball, watching bachelor party.
All my movies were for buses of athletes. They would all say, we watch on the plane, watch on the bus. We watch when they were VHS.
Okay, all right. So let me tell you the story about one of the Here Comes the Mailman. Stories, movies. Okay.
Yeah.
This is absolutely 100% true. This happened. All of our kids were little. And so Rob and Michelle Reiner and Rita and I say, hey, let's take the kids to Disneyland for a day. They're young enough to really enjoy. I said, okay, that would be great. So we work it out. We're all going down in the same car. The kids are so small they can fit in the way back. So there's Rob and me and Michelle and Rita and the kids. We spend the day at Disneyland, and then we're coming back up the 405, and we get stuck in, heavy traffic, and we're just slowly going along from here to there. Now, Rob and I appeared in Sleepless in Seattle. We had a bunch of scenes together.
Applause.
And we remember this is fine. And we've been friends more or less ever since. And as we're inching our way through traffic, here is one of those, it's the airport flyaway bus, You land at the airport and you can get on one of these buses and it'll take you to a terminal somewhere else, or vice versa. So there's a bunch of commuters on a bus stuck in traffic going to or from the airport. And it's one of these brand new major buses that is showing a movie on screens up, for everybody just to blow time. And you kind of edge up to the bus, then fall behind and go ahead of it. And the bus, we're just doing a do-si-do right next to each other in the same lanes. And Rob says, "Hey, they're showing Sleepless in Seattle on that bus." So we said, this is hilarious. Maybe let's try to be next to this bus when our scene comes up, so we can watch it on the thing. So lo and behold, there's a scene where Rob and I are sitting in a coffee shop having a discussion about how to date, and there we are on the screen in the commuter bus, and some guy's watching it. So I leaned on the horn, honk, 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 until this guy hears something, and he looks down, and he sees Rob Reiner in the shotgun seat and me drive it. And we're pointing at ourselves and then pointing to the screen on his bus. But he doesn't quite get it for a while. And I guess he recognizes Rob, and he goes up, and then he's whip pans to the screen above, and then back down to us, and then back up to the, and I'm just like, how did that guy tell his wife about what happened in the bus? On the way? So, I'm watching this movie. Then all of a sudden the guy's in the movie in a car right now. So that's one of those surreal moments in a show business career that is equal to
he looks for Meg Ryan in the Jetta next to him.
She wasn't there. Yeah. Where?
Sandler, when he was doing his movie with Jack Nicholson, I think Anger Management, he'd be driving and Jack would be in the passenger seat. They'd go to a stoplight and people would look at Jack, and Jack would just put his face quickly up against the window apparently and just go, ha! Just like it's scary.
What a star!
I don't want you staring.
You ever come up onto those open air tour buses that drive up and down Sunset Boulevard? We've been at a stoplight a couple of times. Honk the horn and say, "Hey, have you seen anybody great?" And then they all, "Oh my God!"
One time I got
to dress
Tom,
as Garth.
They go next to him and they go, and they're on there, and I'm like this, and they go, the guy goes like this.
David made a face.
Then he goes, that's it. That's all I got.
Gave the thumb. That's
this
it.
Guy.
Well, who knows? They probably just saw Matt Damon down at Doheny and Sunset.
That's true. I'm on Sunset a lot. So yeah.
He's fabulous.
All right. Okay. Let's let Tom go. I mean, I know we got fucking 50 more things, but Tom,
we could do this.
I know.
Constantly,
I love it.
Never. Let me just say one other thing about the SNL days. And this is about the cradle of creativity that it is. The first couple of seasons, first couple of appearances that I was in, there were these three writers that shared a room in the back that was too hot. But between the three of them, they came out with 4 or 5 really, really great sketches. And I called them the Boiler Room Boys. Let's see what the Boiler Room Boys come up with in the back. Like the junior executives, in charge of sales or something. And one was Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And one was Bob Odenkirk, and the other one was Smigel.
Yeah.
So these guys were out there cranking out stuff that was, and that's why the experience is unlike any other in show business. You come across those kind of talents at both the moments when the place where they're just proving themselves, and then the other place where they have proven themselves so much that it's like on Monday, say, "Yes, is there any way I could do the Being the Liar sketch?"
You know what's
really
good? 2021 is the first year that John Lovitz only drops your name once a day now.
What do you mean? Hello.
When we did the first season, and I knew he was from LA, and I knew he had been a messenger before he got the gig through the Groundlings. And I said, "Want to go have lunch?" So he and I just walked down to the Yoshimura noodle bowl restaurant.
I've been there.
And so 2 of us are just sitting there, eating our noodles, and John's already saying, "Yeah, that's the ticket," and I've got enough cred that I've been invited to host for the first time,
Wow.
And yet it was just, kind of like down there saying, and is this a pickle or what? Can you believe this kooky thing that's going on?
Were you doing League of Their Own yet or not?
Oh no, that was long before League of Their Own. I think I had just done. I would say Nothing in Common, maybe.
Is that with
I
Gleason?
can't remember. No, yeah, I think the musical guest was Sade. Here's the musical guest I was on: Sade,
Solid.
Randy Travis, huge.
Springsteen.
Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. Aerosmith.
Wow.
Springsteen. Tom Petty.
Fuck.
I might be blanking. And the last time I did it was Lady Gaga, who rocked the house with
She's unbelievable.
with the first. Oh, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I did it with a Red Hot Chili Peppers.
How many times you do it?
You know,
8,
I lost
10.
count.
8.
I looked it up.
Well,
10.
between the reunion shows, I don't know if those things count.
No,
I
not
say
for
that
this.
if you are tasked with being in the monologue, you have hosted the show. And a couple of those
5-timer club.
That was a big.
Yeah.
That,
Probably 10 and maybe 5 other
and change.
And change.
10
I think
change.
I think it's a big deal when you get up into double digits.
Yeah.
I think only you are second only to Steve Martin, maybe.
Well,
Not
no,
sure.
I think Baldwin is ahead of me, and also John Goodman. I think he's done quite a few.
He was on a lot.
My second
he
show was
great.
Baldwin's first show. Oh, that's great. We got to
Really?
go, Dave. Okay, so all right. Well,
One thing I
go
want to
ahead,
say,
Dana.
one thing about
final
the
thought from Dana.
the read through when hosts come in and are going to cold read 55 sketches for
It's
4
so
hours.
ridiculous.
The most exciting 6 hours in show
And
business.
people like you, John Goodman, Danny DeVito, I could mention a lot more, where you're listening to them cold read and watching their choices on the fly, being just great.
It's like school.
So it's a real skill to be able to read that well, and cold read. The writer's going, Tom, as you go to the read through, you got to play it slow down at the end on the waiter. You come in later.
Or you're reading it wrong and you see the writer like this over there going.
Well, as you've hosted now, you then have been in Lauren's office immediately after the read through, and all 55 sketches are up. Their titles are on cards.
Yeah,
and just go through each one. Dana, Church Lady 6. Would you like to put that on?
6.
Can we put it on?
Wayne's World.
Church Lady 6. Could we do that? Tom, Ant Commander. Jack likes it. Oh yeah, put it up there.
Can you send Jack Handy in? I want to see if he can tighten this sketch.
Okay, so one of the times I'm doing it, I'm working with Jack Handy, and I know that he's one of the legends. He'd been around SNL a long time, and he told me about. I also put out this kind of like goofy little magazine called Army Man. I said, "Oh, I'd love to read that," and so he hands me this essentially 5 Xeroxed pages that have been stapled together. Well, here's my magazine. It's called Army Man. It was like funnier than a Mad Mag. It was like Mad Magazine condensed down to just lethal heroin style quality hilarity.
He's a silent killer.
Really. I said, how do you is there a way to subscribe to this? He said, yeah, I can mail you a few. Literally folded it up, send it to you in the mail.
What a mind.
Hey guys, this has been great. I've enjoyed the stroll down your lives, Spade and Carvey Avenue, right here at the intersection.
I'm going to say, with the risk of sounding show business sincere, this was a complete pleasure. Thanks, gang. Next week's guest is Daryl Hammond. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13.
Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes.
Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Sabrina Regan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.